Amy's shift at the gas station had been quiet until the sound of gunfire erupted from the bank across the street. While other employees frantically dialed 911, Amy quietly moved to the back of the station and opened a hidden compartment that would shock everyone. Because Amy Rodriguez wasn't just a gas station worker. Before we continue this incredible story, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. Drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. Amy worked the morning shift at the Shell station on the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona. To her colleagues and regular customers, she was the perfect employee. Quiet, reliable, always punctual. She knew every customer's usual order, remembered their names, and maintained the cleanest station in the district. But none of them knew that behind her gentle smile and soft-spoken demeanor lay secrets that could change everything they thought they knew about her. The Phoenix Shell station sat at the corner of Desert Boulevard and Main Street, directly across from First National Bank. It was Tuesday morning, September 15th, when Amy's two worlds were about to collide in the most dramatic way possible. She'd been working at the station for 3 years, building a reputation as the most dependable employee anyone had ever seen. Never missed a shift, never complained, never caused drama. To everyone around her, Amy Rodriguez represented the ideal of quiet competence. What her coworkers didn't know was that Amy's methodical attention to detail, her calm under pressure, and her uncanny ability to assess people within seconds of meeting them weren't just personality traits. They were skills honed through 8 years of service with the FBI's hostage rescue team, one of the most elite tactical units in federal law enforcement. Amy had participated in operations that made international headlines, though her name never appeared in any of those stories. The morning started like any other. Amy arrived at 6 a.m. sharp, conducted her opening checklist with military precision, and prepared for the steady stream of commuters who would fuel up on their way to work. The coffee was fresh, the pumps were operational, and the security cameras were functioning perfectly. Amy always checked the cameras first, a habit from her previous life that she couldn't quite shake. At 9:47 a.m., while Amy was helping a customer with a tire pressure issue, she noticed unusual activity across the street. 3 men in dark clothing entered the bank, moving with a coordination that immediately triggered her tactical instincts. Their positioning wasn't random. Their timing was calculated. Their body language suggested concealed weapons. Amy's trained eye recognized the pattern before her conscious mind fully processed what she was seeing. The first gunshot came at 9:52 a.m. The sound cut through the morning air like a knife, causing customers at the gas station to freeze mid-motion. A woman filling her SUV dropped the gas nozzle. An elderly man buying lottery tickets inside the station store looked around in confusion. But Amy's reaction was different. Her muscle memory kicked in instantly. Her heart rate didn't spike, it steadied. Her breathing became controlled. Her mind shifted into the tactical assessment mode that had kept her alive through dozens of high-risk operations. "Everyone get inside now," Amy said with quiet authority, her voice carrying a tone that made people obey without question. The customers moved quickly but calmly, responding to something in her demeanor that suggested she knew exactly what she was doing. Amy locked the front door and guided everyone to the back office, away from the windows that faced the bank. While other employees fumbled with their phones, trying to get through to 911 on lines that were already jammed, Amy moved to a section of the back wall that looked identical to every other part of the storage area. But Amy knew better. She pressed a specific sequence of the wall tiles, and a hidden panel slid open, revealing a compartment that none of her coworkers had ever suspected existed. Inside the compartment was equipment that told a very different story about who Amy Rodriguez really was. A tactical vest, modified for concealed carry, a Glock 19 with 3 extra magazines, a secure communication device that could bypass civilian networks, flexible restraints, a compact medical kit designed for gunshot wounds, and most telling of all, an FBI shield and identification that bore her real name, Special Agent Amy Elizabeth Rodriguez, Hostage Rescue Team. Amy had installed this hidden cache 6 months after starting work at the gas station, not because she expected trouble, but because 20 years of tactical training had taught her that preparation was the difference between life and death. She had hoped never to need it. But as the sounds of shouting and additional gunfire came from across the street, Amy realized that her quiet civilian life was about to end. The decision took less than 3 seconds. Amy pulled on the tactical vest, clipped the holster to her belt, and activated the secure communication device. Immediately, she was connected to a frequency monitored by federal law enforcement agencies across the Southwest. Her voice was calm and professional as she identified herself and provided a situation report. "This is former HRT agent Amy Rodriguez, badge number 2847. I have eyes on an active bank robbery situation at First National, corner of Desert and Main, Phoenix. Multiple armed suspects, unknown number of hostages. Local response is likely 8 to 10 minutes out. I am in position to provide tactical assessment." The response was immediate. "Agent Rodriguez, this is Phoenix FBI SAC Johnson. Are you equipped for intervention?" Amy looked across the street through the station's window. The bank's front door was blocked by what appeared to be furniture. She could see muzzle flashes through the windows, suggesting ongoing intimidation of hostages. The police response was building, but Amy knew from experience that even the best SWAT teams needed time to establish perimeter control and assess the situation before they could act. "Affirmative," Amy replied. "I have tactical gear and I know this location. There's a maintenance tunnel system that connects the buildings, installed in the 1970s for shared utilities. Bank management probably doesn't even know it exists." This wasn't luck. During her first month at the gas station, Amy had conducted what she privately called a tactical survey of the area. She studied the building layouts, identified potential threat vectors, mapped escape routes, and yes, she had discovered the forgotten tunnel system that ran beneath Desert Boulevard. Old habits from her HRT days had compelled her to always know her environment completely. "Rodriguez, you are not cleared for solo intervention. Maintain surveillance only." But Amy was already moving. Through the window, she could see that one of the bank's front windows had been shot out, and a woman was pressed against the glass, clearly being used to communicate with the police officers who were beginning to arrive. The woman's terrified face told Amy everything she needed to know about the situation inside. "I have visual on hostage being used as communication interface," Amy reported. "Suspects are escalating. I'm going to advance to a better observation position." What Amy didn't say was that her better observation position was inside the bank itself. Amy moved to the floor hatch in the station's back room that provided access to the utility tunnel. The cover was heavy and hadn't been moved in years, but Amy's upper body strength, maintained through daily workouts that her coworkers thought were just a health hobby, made quick work of it. She dropped into the tunnel system with her tactical gear and began moving toward the bank. The tunnels were exactly as she remembered from her initial survey, narrow but navigable. The concrete was old but solid. Most importantly, they provided access to the bank's basement level, which connected to the main floor through a service stairway that would put her behind the suspect's expected perimeter. As Amy moved through the tunnel, she could hear the sounds of the situation developing above ground. Police sirens were multiplying. A helicopter was approaching. The suspects would be feeling pressure, which meant they were likely to make mistakes, or worse, harm hostages to demonstrate their seriousness. Amy's tactical mind was already working through scenarios. Based on the initial gunfire pattern and the way the suspects had positioned themselves, she estimated 3 to 4 individuals with handguns, possibly one long gun. They had chosen their timing well, hitting the bank during the morning rush when maximum cash would be available, but before the heavy security presence of midday. These weren't amateurs. Amy reached the access point to the bank's basement after 12 minutes of crawling. The service hatch was secured, but Amy had tools for that. As she worked on the lock, she could hear voices above. Angry male voices making demands, frightened female voices pleading, the distinctive sound of someone being struck. Amy's jaw tightened. Whatever psychological distance she had maintained from her former life was evaporating with each sound of fear from above. The basement was dark and filled with old banking equipment, boxes of records and mechanical systems. Amy moved silently between the obstacles, her tactical training allowing her to navigate in near-total darkness. She found the service stairs and began to ascend, knowing that at the top she would be entering a hostile environment where one mistake could cost lives. At the top of the stairs was a door marked "Authorized Personnel Only." Amy could hear voices clearly now, multiple male voices, at least 4. They were arguing about something, which suggested stress and poor coordination. Through the crack under the door, she could see shadows moving back and forth. Amy pressed her ear to the door and listened. "I told you this was taking too long," one voice said. "The cops are setting up outside." "Shut up and watch the hostages," another voice replied. "We stick to the plan." "What plan?" "You said this would take 5 minutes. It's been 20. Amy smiled grimly. Internal conflict among the suspects was something she could exploit. She slowly opened the door a crack and peered into the bank's main floor. The layout was exactly as she remembered from the times she had banked here as a regular customer. Teller windows along the left wall, customer service area on the right, open floor plan in the center. And scattered across that open floor were 12 people lying face down, hands behind their heads. 4 suspects, just as she had estimated, 2 near the teller windows, stuffing cash into bags, 1 by the front door, watching the street, 1 in the center of the floor, standing over the hostages with what appeared to be a shotgun. Amy assessed their weapons, positions, fields of fire, and most importantly, their distances from the hostages. The suspect with the shotgun was the immediate threat. His position allowed him to harm multiple hostages quickly if the situation deteriorated. He would have to be neutralized first. The one by the door was the lookout and communication point. He was armed but focused outward. The 2 at the teller windows were task-focused and presented the lowest immediate threat to hostage safety. Amy's HRT training had included extensive work on solo hostage rescue scenarios. It wasn't the preferred method, but it was possible under the right circumstances. The key was speed, precision, and the element of complete surprise. Amy had approximately 30 seconds from initial contact to secure all 4 suspects before they could harm hostages. Amy took a deep breath, visualized the sequence of movements she would need to make, and then exploded into action. Her first target was the man with the shotgun. Amy emerged from the service door and covered the 15 feet to his position in less than 3 seconds, moving in complete silence. Her tactical training allowed her to approach from his blind spot and deliver a strike to the nerve cluster at the base of his neck that dropped him instantly. The shotgun never moved from its lowered position. The suspect by the front door heard the sound of his partner falling and began to turn. Amy was already moving toward him, using the scattered furniture and teller stations as cover. He managed to bring his weapon up, but Amy's approach angle put a support pillar between him and most of the hostages. When she reached him, her disarming technique was textbook perfect. The weapon was secured and the suspect was unconscious before he could call out a warning. The 2 suspects at the teller windows were just beginning to realize something was wrong when Amy appeared behind the counter. They had their backs to her, focused on the cash drawers and the bags they were filling. Amy's approach was silent and swift. Both men were secured with restraints and disarmed before either could react effectively. The entire sequence had taken less than 90 seconds. Amy quickly moved among the hostages, checking for injuries and providing reassurance. "I'm a federal agent," she told them quietly. "You're safe now. Stay down until the police secure the building." One of the hostages, a middle-aged bank manager, looked up at Amy with confusion and recognition. "Aren't you the woman from the gas station across the street?" Amy smiled. "Among other things, yes." As Amy was securing the suspects' weapons and checking their condition, the bank's front door was suddenly surrounded by police officers. Through the broken window, Amy could see SWAT team members in full tactical gear preparing for entry. She activated her communication device. "This is Agent Rodriguez. Suspects are secured. Hostages are safe. Bank interior is clear for entry." The response was immediate and surprised. "Agent Rodriguez, confirm you are inside the target location?" "Confirmed. 4 suspects in custody, 12 hostages unharmed, requesting medical evaluation for suspects and hostages." When the SWAT team entered the bank, they found a scene that defied their expectations. 4 suspects restrained and disarmed, 12 hostages calm and unhurt, and a woman in a gas station uniform sitting calmly at one of the customer service desks, apparently filling out paperwork. The team leader approached Amy with obvious confusion. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to explain how you got in here and what happened." Amy handed him her FBI identification. "Special Agent Amy Rodriguez, retired. I was across the street when the situation developed. I used building access that wasn't known to the suspects to reach an advantageous position." The team leader examined her credentials, then looked around at the secured scene. "Agent Rodriguez, this is highly irregular." "Yes," Amy agreed, "but effective." The aftermath of the incident unfolded exactly as Amy had expected. The suspects were arrested and charged with multiple federal crimes. The hostages were evaluated and released without serious injury. The FBI conducted a thorough investigation of Amy's actions and concluded that her intervention had likely prevented a much worse outcome. But Amy's primary concern was maintaining her civilian life at the gas station. During the extensive debriefing sessions with federal investigators, she repeatedly emphasized her desire to return to her quiet job and avoid any public attention for her role in the incident. The FBI agreed to keep her involvement classified. The official report stated that an off-duty federal agent had been in the area and provided assistance, but no names were mentioned in any public documents. The media reported that the bank robbery had been thwarted by excellent police work and fortunate circumstances. Amy returned to work at the gas station 3 days later. Her coworkers peppered her with questions about the excitement across the street, and Amy played her role perfectly. She expressed appropriate shock and concern about the incident, praised the quick response of law enforcement, and mentioned how frightening it had been to watch from across the street. "I can't believe something like that happened right here," she told her colleague Ryan, who worked the afternoon shift. "It makes you realize how lucky we are that the police got there so quickly." Ryan nodded enthusiastically. "I heard some FBI agent was in the area by total coincidence and helped out. What are the odds of that?" Amy smiled and continued restocking the snack aisle. "Amazing how things work out sometimes." The bank manager, who had recognized her, came to the gas station the following week to buy coffee and thank her properly. He approached the counter where Amy was working and spoke quietly. "I wanted to thank you again for what you did," he said. "I know you probably can't talk about it, but I want you to know that what you did was incredible." Amy handed him his coffee and receipt. "I'm not sure what you mean, sir. I was working here the whole time." He smiled and nodded. "Of course. I must have been confused. High-stress situations can affect memory." "Exactly," Amy agreed. "I'm just glad everyone was okay." Over the following months, Amy's life at the gas station returned to its previous routine. She continued to be the model employee, quiet and reliable. Her hidden compartment remained in place, but untouched. The tactical gear was cleaned and maintained, but never deployed. Amy had proven to herself that she could access her former skills if necessary, but she preferred the peace of her civilian life. However, the incident had reminded her of something important. Her training and experience represented a resource that could be valuable in protecting innocent people. Amy began to quietly volunteer with local emergency preparedness groups, sharing her knowledge of crisis management and tactical thinking without revealing the full extent of her background. She also started paying closer attention to the people around her. Not everyone who worked ordinary jobs was ordinary. Not everyone who seemed powerless was helpless, and not everyone who appeared to be just another face in the crowd was actually hiding in plain sight. 6 months after the bank incident, Amy was approached by a representative from the FBI who had an interesting proposition. The Bureau was developing a new program that would place experienced agents in civilian jobs in communities across the country, creating a network of trained responders who could assist in crisis situations while maintaining their cover identities. "Agent Rodriguez," the representative said during a discreet meeting at a coffee shop across town, "your performance during the bank incident demonstrated exactly the kind of capability we're looking for. Would you be interested in making your current arrangement official?" Amy considered the offer carefully. It would allow her to maintain her peaceful life at the gas station while also providing a way to use her skills when they were truly needed. More importantly, it would give her a sense of purpose that combined the best aspects of both her identities. What would it involve? Amy asked. Continue your civilian job, maintain your cover identity, but be available for consultation and assistance when situations arise that require your specific expertise. Think of it as being a reserve resource that most people never know exists. Amy smiled. So I'd be hiding in plain sight? Exactly. Amy accepted the offer. She continued working at the gas station, serving coffee and checking tire pressure, and making small talk with customers. But now she was also part of a network that quietly protected communities across the country. When needed, ordinary people like Amy could become extraordinary resources for justice and safety. The customers at the Phoenix Shell station continued to see Amy as their friendly, reliable gas station worker. They had no idea that the woman who remembered their usual orders and always had a kind word was also someone who had saved 12 lives and stopped 4 armed criminals in less than 90 seconds. Because sometimes the most powerful people are the ones who don't need anyone to know how powerful they are. Stories like Amy's remind us that courage doesn't always wear a uniform, and heroes don't always seek recognition. The person serving your coffee, checking your groceries, or helping you with directions might be someone extraordinary hiding behind an ordinary smile. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to remember that strength can come from unexpected places. Subscribe for more untold stories of courage, sacrifice, and the hidden warriors who protect us all. And remember, the most important battles are often fought by people whose names we'll never know. Tell us in the comments, have you ever suspected that someone in your everyday life might be more than they appeared? From which city in the world are you watching this video today? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.